Welcome back to Joe from New England. It is 6:33 here on Sunday morning, February 5th. We are back in dock at Port New Orleans. I want to say thank you to the entire crew that put this cruise together, to include Elisa and Jason, Jenny B and Tony, Sharon at Sea and Jamie, Josh Holcomb and Mama, and everybody else. So, folks, by the way, congratulations to Griff and Alyssa on the birth of their baby. They are new parents, and they were supposed to come on this trip, and the baby decided to come on embarkation day, but they canceled the trip a few months ago, and they realized that she couldn't, it was close to the due date. So congratulations to Griff. Hey, Griffin, keep those two ladies in line. Your hands are going to be full. Because, yeah, you're a dad. And Alyssa, Griff has a new woman in his life, beware. And where'd you get all that hair? That had come from Mama. So, folks, do me a favor, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell here on YouTube, Facebook follow, Instagram follow. There'll be postings coming up. Now I have full access to the Wi-Fi, wherever you're conservative on the Wi-Fi. But go ahead and check out the pages. And thanks to the new 13 or 14 I picked up so far, subscribers that decided to follow me on YouTube. So thanks for the new followers and subscribers. So folks, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and watch for the first watch for the rest of the Disney vlogs, and then what happened between Disney and now, and then this video will be coming up. So most of the fall stuff has been up on the shorts, so I'm just going to keep it that way. I think I may put one or two hockey videos together, football videos together, but a lot of stuff has been on the shorts. But there'll be some vlogs coming out about the cruises and everything else. But to the organizers of this, great job, and thanks for watching. As we say in the image radio world, 7-3. We'll catch it down the log.
Closer, potato cut. Closer, potato cut. Potato cut.
Okay, we're getting off the ship. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I want to stay. So I'll fill you in a little bit. Okay, we're off the ship. We're out of the terminal. We're about ready to board the tour of New Orleans. There's multiple buses for the tour, so and this tour is going to end at the airport. So we'll get some more of that. Diane's found another friend to talk to, and we're going to do that. So, hey folks, let's go take a tour of New Orleans. So, we're on the bus, still loading. Start the tour. Right behind us is Tom. We met him on the first day at the Loggers get together. Well, we got lanyards and everything else. So, but that's what's happening. I get Miss Diane right here. So, see, right there. So we're gonna
hello there.
Take this trip and enjoy it.
Yes.
We'll get back to you.
Okay,
Yeah,
is there
No, I've heard.
So, there's Tom behind me. Hey Tom, you want to say hello to my viewers?
Next time I come down in New Orleans.
That's Tom. He's from Dallas. So we met on the first day up on the Spice H2O jacket. So also I met a new friend over here from Vegas. And get her on the screen. There she is. Hey Jen, want to wave it? Want to wave?
Jennifer tries that. I just met
met
Oh.
Joe from New England. Such a nice guy. So now I gotta follow him.
She's married.
I'm married to a really tall husband who's 6'8". Who used to play football. Totally did.
So there we go. This is my girl over here. So, but we're still getting on the bus to the door. So just checking in. We'll be back in a little bit.
The historical sites there, and then we're going to make a stop after we go down Esplanade Avenue in a cemetery. Yeah, because our cemeteries are tourist attractions. So that's why we bring you to explain to you why we build our tombs above ground. Then we're going to stop in City Park, where they have the largest collection of mature live oak trees. Beautiful oak trees covered with Spanish moss. We're going to stop there at Cafe Du Monde, so you can get your beignets and cafe au lait. And then Shireen's going to take you to the American side and show you down St. Charles Avenue some of our large mansions that the Americans will build. So Shireen and I, since we're locals, we love answering questions about our city. We just celebrated the 300th anniversary of our city just a couple of years ago. That's not old in European time, but that's old in American time. So we love to answer questions when we have any of the stops. We'll be by the bus. You can leave all your stuff on the bus because it will be locked if we have to leave the bus at any time. So, and we will be answering any questions that you have. Okay, so you see those trains here? This Port of New Orleans is, people think the hospitality industry is our biggest industry, but it's this Port of New Orleans. We have 6 grade A railroads. The only port in the whole country. That's why you see all these railroads. And we have 16 of those barge companies, 50. I know. I don't know how long it's going to be, huh, Sheree? Yeah. So we have 75 trucking companies, 50 shipping companies, and of course our cruise lines are picking back up again. Major imports, steel, rubber, and coffee. Yes. Can you believe we have more than 16 countries that send their coffee beans here? We have one of the largest coffee roasting plants in the whole country located in New Orleans, the Folgers Coffee Plant. Folgers Coffee Plant was really good after Hurricane Katrina. They put trailers on their property so that the people who lost their homes could have a place to live and work.
Go Folgers.
We have the largest coffee silo located here. And do you know this is where they invented the coffee break? Yeah, they found out that people worked a lot better when they gave them a break during their long work day and let them drink some of that coffee. Tell you about a little bit about the history of New Orleans and why the city is founded here on the crescent of the river. That's why one of our nicknames is the Crescent City. They had a man that came down from Canada. Now Canada was called New France. His name was René Robert Cavalier de La Salle. He's coming down the Mississippi River. He's looking for a route to the Pacific Ocean. Remember your geography? He's not going to hit the Pacific Ocean. He comes down the river, and what's he going to find? The Gulf of Mexico. He takes his flag, he puts it in the ground, he claims the Mississippi River, all the land drained by the Mississippi, for France. He names it Louisiana in honor of Louis XIV. Goes back up the Mississippi River, goes over to France, and tells Louis XIV, "You're not going to believe what I just did. I claimed this river, I claimed all this land for you." And what does Louis XIV say? Yeah, right, whatever. He's building Versailles. He's called the Sun King. He's chasing those women in waiting all around the palace. He's raging European wars to impress him. But he says, okay, you know, everybody's into colonization. I'll send you back with 4 ships. The 4 ships are going to the Gulf of Mexico. Remember, he never went out this way. 1 ship gets in a fight with him, turns around and goes back to France. 1 ship hits the ground. Probably a drunken captain. Makes sense. Another ship is attacked by pirates. He's got 1 ship left. You know what happens? He passes up the Mississippi River, ends up in Texas, Matagorda Bay, Texas. Searches for 2 years for the Mississippi River. Finally, he gives up. Decides he's going to go back up to Canada, back up to New France. But his men have had it by that time. So you know what they do? Kill him. Isn't that sad? Our first explorer. Yeah, they kill him. So they have 2 men, and they're in New France and Canada, and they doing pretty well in those wars against England. So they go over to France, and they put medals on them. Their names are Bienville and Iberville. And they say, oh, you know, why are you going back? Can you find out what's going on with our colony, our Louisiana colony? So they send them over, but they're going to do something different than LaSalle. They're going to stop in Biloxi and ask directions. Yeah, they did have women on board. Yeah, women and children, because they tried to establish a colony. So they're going to ask the Biloxi Indians, where is this big river? They say, oh, we know that river. We'll take you there. So they take them through the Gulf of Mexico. They see this muddy water going into the Gulf of Mexico. They taste it, fresh water. They go up the Mississippi River. They camp out and they say, what's going back on over there in France? Oh, they're celebrating Mardi Gras. We had our first Mardi Gras celebration, 1699, on the mouth of the river. And we've been celebrating ever since. Yeah, even though we do have some pandemics and some wars, we still always find a way to celebrate Mardi Gras. Well, of course, Iberville, who's the big brother, says that the capital of Louisiana should be in Biloxi, and that's whatever's easiest. So he will establish the capital of Louisiana in Biloxi for 20 years. When he dies, Bienville, his younger brother, is going to move the capital to here because he thinks that there should be a settlement on the river. When he was scouting around, he saw a big ship, and it was an English ship. He goes up to that English ship and he says, you know, if I was you, I wouldn't keep going up the river because my brother has a settlement up there and they have a big fort with some big cannons. And of course that English captain recognized them from being up in Canada. So he turned his ship around because they had women and children on board, and then left. They have a place on the river that we call English Turn. And of course the British don't come back until the Battle of New Orleans. So that's why Bienville felt it was important to put his city here. He puts it in the crest of the river because if he looks upriver, he can see if there's any Native Americans that will attack him. If he looks downriver, he can see the tall mass of British ships. He also, in the crescent of the river, it is high ground, doesn't flood during Hurricane Katrina. And the Native Americans are going to show them that there's a back way. You don't have to travel 90 to 100 miles to get to the Gulf of Mexico. You can go along this bayou and go into Lake Pontchartrain, which isn't a lake at all, it's an estuary. So it has an opening. It's a lot shorter and a lot less dangerous. So those are some of the reasons that Bienville puts his city here in the crescent of the river. We pass in this convention center. Now, we don't have one of the largest convention centers in the country, but we have one of the most popular convention centers because New Orleans is where you can come to get that music, to get that food, and of course transportation is easy. The blocks are small, you can walk, you can take the streetcar, you can take the buses, and because of the people are so friendly here. We're used to immigrants and we're used to travelers coming here, so that's why a lot of people choose right here at the convention center to hold their conventions. To the right hand side you see the River Walk. Do you know that we are the only city that has an upscale outlet mall located inside the city? You know why? Because when people come here, we don't want them to go on a diet. You gotta taste our food. If you can't fit into your clothes, buy new ones. So you go over to the outlet mall. The Hilton right there is the home of one of our restaurants that serves char-grilled oysters. We are the #1 supplier of oysters for the rest of the country, and one of these Yugoslavians invented the char-grilled oyster on an oyster shell, and it's roasted with butter and Parmesan cheese, and you can taste that at the airport. That big tall building that you see on your right-hand side, that is now a hotel, the Four Seasons Hotel, but that used to be the International Trade Mart that had offices for our Latin American countries. It had port offices, and then one time they had this man, and he was standing in front of it, and he was giving out flyers supporting Cuba. His name, Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald lived in about 5 different places here in New Orleans. President Kennedy comes here. He was our first Catholic president. Do you know that you had to be Catholic to live in New Orleans? Anybody Catholic?
Yeah.
Oh, good. A couple of y'all could live here. What about the rest of y'all? Well, remember, we French. We don't follow our own rules. Yeah. If you could do something good for the colony, then you'd be in. Well, we were so excited when President Kennedy came here. They checked all the children out of the schools who were all standing along the sides. He was riding by in his convertible, waving to everybody. Took that convertible, went to Dallas, and you know who else went to Dallas? Lee Harvey Oswald followed him over there. New Orleans is the only city that they had a trial about the assassination of President Kennedy. We even had a movie that was filmed here. On your right-hand side, you are going to see Harris Casino. This is the largest land-based casino in Louisiana. It stretches all the way from Porches to Canal Street. But did you know that gambling is illegal here? Nope, no gambling, can't gamble. It's in our Constitution, no gambling. I know, so you're going, well, then what are those people doing? Gaming. Yes. Gaming's legal here. Yeah. You know those politicians, all about the vocabulary, huh? Off to your right-hand side, this is Canal Street, where Canal Street hits the river. You see that glass building? That is the aquarium. We have the Aquarium of the Americas, we have the Insectarium, and we have the zoo. Combined, they are called the Audubon Institute. We have City Park, we have Children's Museum, lots of things for children to do here. Even though people think New Orleans is Bourbon Street, it's for adults, there's lots of things for children to do. This Canal Street is one of the widest main streets in the country. Canal Street is our main street. There is no main street. We call it Canal Street because we weren't supposed to put a canal here. Thank goodness they didn't, because it wouldn't be good having a canal going into those levees. And once Cherie crosses over, now she is in the Vieux Carré, the old square. Everything's different on this side. You see this big building on Cherie's side, on your left-hand side? That is the old custom house. Those Americans had big plans for this city in the Louisiana Purchase, 1803. That was the second largest building in the country. No stone here, so all that stone is brought in. That's where all the immigrants will register. That's where everything coming down the river is going to be at the Custom House, one of the prettiest buildings in the whole country. Unfortunately, it's kind of empty right now. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Hopefully, they'll open it up because it is a beautiful building. Now, watch when Cherie goes through the Vieux Carré. Everything's different here. We had a fire in 1788, another one 6 years later. The Spanish are in control, so they enact the Spanish Fire Code. All the buildings have to be built up to the sidewalk. The banquette, and you can see they all built up to the sidewalk. Oh, look, there he is. Look to your left-hand side, and you're going to see the founder of the city of New Orleans, Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne de Bienville, looking out of his city. Below him is a French missionary priest and a Native American. Remember, everybody has to be baptized Catholic, so they travel with their priest. And of course, Bienville becomes a friend to the Native Americans. Guess what the French try to do when they get here? They try to grow wheat. Wheat doesn't grow here, it's too wet. The Native Americans are going to teach them how to grow corn and pumpkins and beans. They're going to teach them how to fish, and they're going to teach them how to hunt. And it's really the Native Americans is the reason why the French settlement will succeed here. So you can see also, if you look at these buildings to your left-hand side, part of the Spanish Fire Code is no more wooden buildings. They have to be brick covered with stucco. Now you see this building to your left-hand side is scored to look like stone, but remember, there's no stone here in New Orleans, so that is Mississippi River brick covered with plaster. And then they have, instead of thatch roofs, wooden roofs, they have tile roofs. And they have like a barrier between it so that the fire can't jump from building to building. And all these buildings have to have a water source. That means behind them there is a courtyard. Oh, now of course we have a fire department. So now they're beautiful patios that we have. And that's why the look is entirely different, because the French people, they live above where they work. Now, Cherie's going to show you the most picturesque spot in New Orleans, and that is Jackson Square. Jackson Square was originally called the Place d'Armes. Under the French, the Spanish renamed it the Plaza de Armas. The Americans called it the Public Square, and then we renamed it Jackson Square when we put that beautiful statue of Andrew Jackson. Of course, they were Catholics, so the gorgeous building in the square is the St. Louis Cathedral. And when you look at that cathedral, you know you're in New Orleans. So we're one of the few cities that has a religious building as its icon. To your right-hand side is the presbytery. That's where the priests are supposed to live, but they really live in the back. That is a Louisiana State Museum property. Up at the top, it tells you all about the history of New Orleans. At the bottom, it tells you about the history of the break in the levees that happens in Hurricane Katrina, the worst engineering disaster. On the other side is the Cabildo. The Cabildo is the second most historic building because that's where they signed the transfer of Louisiana. And that's also where they have an important court case called Plessy versus Ferguson, where Homer Plessy is an octoroon and he's going to get on a railroad car and test that segregation law of separate railroad cars. Over on your right-hand side is the market, the French market, the oldest market in the United States, because this is where the Native Americans set up their markets. And that's one of our locations where Cafe du Monde is. And then going through the French market, you're going to see places to eat. One of them is to your left-hand side is Central Grocery. Coming up on your left is where they had a man named Sal Lupo invents a sandwich. And this sandwich is going to feed the people that work on the dock. And they work in so early in the morning until late in the evening. So he takes this round muffaletta bread. He takes cured meats that don't spoil. He takes like olives and olive oil from Italy. He's not going to use mayonnaise, something that spoils, and puts it on his sandwich. And that's how we get the muffaletta. Unfortunately, Central Grocery has been closed since Hurricane Ida, because the building restrictions are really tough here, but they're trying to rebuild it. But there are other places where you can get the muffaletta. You can get that at the airport too. Over here on Cherie's side, you're going to see that gold statue of Joan of Arc. She is the Maid of Orleans, and we are Nouvelle Orleans, the new city of Orleans. We wanted the statue just like they had in Paris. Yeah, we ordered it, but guess what? We couldn't pay for it. So President de Gaulle comes here. He loved the city. He puts up his own money and gets the people in Paris to pay for that statue of Joan of Arc. That is our first parade of the year, the Joan of Arc parade. To your left-hand side, watch when Cherie passes this street. Look down there, and in the next block, that fence you can see is the Ursuline Convent. That is the oldest building in the Mississippi River Valley. It doesn't burn in the fire. The Ursuline nuns are invited to come here to work in the hospitals, and they say, well, okay, we'll come, but we're educators. So they work in the hospitals. They become the first pharmacists. They open up the oldest girls' school in the country. Still exists today. And they teach the girls, but they say we will also teach Native Americans and the children of the enslaved people. This is our market. Can you believe 50 different languages were spoken here? The Germans are selling the vegetables. The Italians are selling their fruits. Yugoslavians are selling their oysters. Everybody would come to the market. Native Americans are selling their baskets. Now, of course, it's kind of where the tourists come and buy their souvenirs, and we say it's European style. You can make deals with them. On your left-hand side, you're going to see another museum, another Louisiana State Museum property. That is our U.S. Mint. Only mint that meant both Confederate money and American money. And that's where Andrew Jackson, when it was the Fort St. Charles, before they tore it down, greets his men for the Battle of New Orleans. And then they're going to travel 6 miles downriver, and that's where Chalmette Battlefield is. No major battle takes place inside the city of New Orleans during the Civil War or during the Battle of New Orleans, and that's why the city is not destroyed. Now Cherie is taking you along the Faubourg Marigny. This is outside the French Quarter. This was a large plantation. Philippe Marigny was sending out wood from the cypress trees. He was one of the wealthiest men in the United States, the richest man in Louisiana. When he dies, his son Bernard is going to become the wealthiest teenager in America. Now, what would you do if you were in charge of the wealthiest teenager in America? Well, his uncle, Uncle Chalmette, is going to send him over to England to get an education, because all those Americans are coming here and he needs to learn how to speak English. After about 2 years, he brings him back because he's spending an awful lot of money. He is crouched down like this and he's throwing dice. The French say he looks like a toad. The French word for toad is crapaud. Yeah, he brought the game of craps here. He wasn't very good at his own game. People would beat him that he taught, and he wasn't very lucky. So he's going to take his plantation, he's going to subdivide it in lots. They have people coming from Saint-Domingue, the island, the only successful slave revolt, and they are coming here because this is the closest French city, 3,000 whites, 3,000 free people of color, and 3,000 enslaved people. He's going to sell it to them. They all want to live in the same area. And look at the type of houses to your right. You can see that they put here Caribbean-style houses. We call them shotgun houses. Those shotgun houses fit well because of the narrow lots they have. They narrow houses. They call them shotgun houses because there's no obstruction in the middle. There's one room after one room after one room. You can open up your front door, you can open up your back door, you can pick up your shotgun and shoot straight through. You can hit your chicken running around and throw them in a pot for dinner. Well, you know those Americans, they get everything wrong. The reason why they probably call them shotgun houses because the African American word for assembly was toga. But it made sense to them because you could shoot your shotgun straight through it. Now, if you look at these houses, you're going to see, this is what we're going to do, Cherie. We're going to make one extra block and then make a U-turn, because I want you to see this shotgun house to your right-hand side. Now watch when Cherie passes up this corner. This is called, when Cherie does extra things for you, we call this lanyard. So we're going to show you this shotgun house to your right-hand side. It's got a red X on it. And it's got a red X on it because this is what the first responders put on the houses. Now look right here to your right-hand side where they got the Mardi Gras decoration. See that red X on that house? Right by that door. When the first responders come here, they will walk every single house with a red X. Up at the top is the date. To the right-hand side, if something dangerous like a gas leak, to the other side is the first responder, National Guard, Coast Guard, Wildlife and Fisheries, who checks that house. And at the bottom is if anybody's dead or alive. Every single house, low ground, high ground, flooded or not flooded, is going to be checked by the National Guard. To the right-hand side, you see this shotgun house. It's got a 2-story in the back. That's called a camelback. So look at the way these shotgun houses are made. A lot of them are double shotgun houses because these women, they lost their husbands. The people lost the source of income, so they have lots of rentals. They're a couple of steps off of the ground because of floods and because of the moisture. And then look at them. They have cross ventilation. Doors from front to the back and windows side to side. High ceiling because the hot air rises. So that's why these shotgun houses fit so well here in New Orleans. We have the largest collection of shotgun houses, but they do have them all across the South. Elvis Presley grew up in a shotgun house. Yeah, Aaron never grew up in a shotgun house. So you're going to see these shotgun houses all around the city of New Orleans. Another thing you see when you're going through the city, a lot of graffiti. That's because New Orleans is on what they call the graffiti circuit. A lot of people will come here across the country because we have abandoned houses. And so they started this program called Mural on the Wall. And you can see to your right-hand side, they got artists to paint some of the walls. And that's when you see these pretty murals. This school on your right-hand side is a John McDonough school, not an active school now. It's used for retirement homes, but you can see his name on the building. John McDonough was a plantation owner during the American time, but he's going to do something entirely different. After 15 years, the enslaved people, he would allow them to go free. If they wanted to go back to Africa, he paid their way. He sent about 400 back to Africa, but you know, some of them had families here. If they wanted to stay here, he did something illegal. He would educate them. That was illegal to educate an enslaved person. Some of them will even go up to New York and become doctors. They come back down here and they sit at his table. When he dies, he is buried in the John McDonough Cemetery right next to the enslaved people. That's named, so I was going, is it Cherie or Sherry? Cherie.
Look, I get called everything.
So that's Cherie, and this is Danielle.
So she does it the French
Not
way.
Danielle,
I
but
do it the
Danielle.
American way.
Danielle. But we can call her Danielle anyways. I gotta go find Diane. Speaking of these. I found my hat. Okay, that's it.
I'm offloading. Hopefully,
Which way did I go? I went to the beignets in the bathroom.